My guest today is a man who created an entire generation of Arsenal fans, entire generation of football fans because of the sorcery he produced on a weekly basis. A gent who said he was propelled by a mix of, quote, anger and desire. If I were to list all of his accomplishments, 2 Premier League titles, pair of golden boots, 8 Footballer of the Year awards, the intro be longer than both Dune films combined. So I'll just say, it's a joy to welcome a man who is undeniably one of the best goal scorers the Premier League's ever seen. Welcome back to New York City, Mr. Thierry Henry.
Thank you. I think you went a bit too far with everything, but yeah. Thank you. Happy to be back though. Love this city.
And this city loves you. We are here thanks to our friends at Visa. And Thierry, let's start with PSG.
Yeah.
And they're a creative machine. They obliterated Inter Milan in the Champions League final. We've just seen them demolish Real Madrid in the semi-final. Your friend, Jamie Carragher, he tweeted, "Watching PSG is like watching Pep's 2011 Barcelona. I can't give them a higher compliment." For you, are Luis Enrique's team in that conversation already in the greatest European club teams of all time?
As far as having that type of season, yeah. Because, first and foremost, you do a treble. Not a lot of teams in history did a treble. But for me, look, we always talk about individuals, but what they are doing as a team, I said in my time at Barcelona that people used to watch us, not to see us win, but to see us play. And when you reach that, you are doing something exceptional. People just want to watch Paris Saint-Germain. And whoever it is, and whatever it is, now people will talk about individual, right? They will say to you, "Oh, I knew Dembele was, or Doué, or Vitinha, or Neves." It's a lie, because a year ago, nobody was saying that they had a good team. So you have to give. This is what I'm saying sometimes. And yes, sometimes coaches can complicate stuff, but then you have coaches that will give you a possibility to express yourself, an advantage, a tactical advantage that you're gonna see people play a certain way. And I always say, and I will always say, at the end of the very day, you win as a team. There's not such a thing as an individual. Yes, your team will bring you in a certain way, and the individuals sometime in the team will make you win. It's not the other way around. But tactically, the way they're doing what they're doing, the way they're playing, and I said it I'm going to compare it to my Barcelona at that time, because Jamie did. What I used to love the most is how we used to pressurize a team. And the thing that goes around, the images that goes around is Kvaratskhelia running back. It's Dembele putting pressure. It's them suffocating a team.
The pressure becomes mental as well as physical.
Yes, they're good on the ball, right? They are good on the ball. But for me, they are better off the ball. And you win games like that, because there is 2 phases in the game. Like people will tell you, again, pressing, low block. No, there is 2 phases in the game. When you have the ball and when you don't have it. And when you don't have it, everybody needs to run. If not, you're not going to win. You can maybe have one guy that can be a bit more lazy than the others. But that guy needs to score 4 and 3 or 2 or make you win. If not, everybody needs to run. That's what I love about Paris Saint-Germain. It's contagious. It is contagious. They make you love pressing.
When you look at that team, who would young Thierry Henry have loved to play with out that PSG team out of all of them?
I'll be honest, I would have been, forget the team. I would have liked to be coached by Luis Enrique. Sometimes, people will tell you, and I just did talk a bit about it just before. When people say, what does a coach do? That's exactly when you can turn and say, have a look at Luis Enrique. You have coaches that will be more managers. They manage a team. And then you have a coach. You can see that they're well drilled, that they, some of the stuff that they do, you can see the structure, but they have the liberty within that structure. They never lose their position, but understand well. They never lose the shape of the team, but players can move and change position within the structure. You can see sometimes you can see Hakimi on the right, sometimes you see him as a 9. I've seen this season, if you press pause against Villa, you have wingers high and wide, and your fullback, they're your 2 9s. When they score that goal, when I think it's Nuno Mendes get the ball, it's Hakimi and Nuno Mendes playing as 9 on the counter. How is that even possible? So that's your coach. So Forget about who I would have liked to play. When you see a coach okay, he would have given you what you need to feel comfortable on the field. And if you had your own quality, then the mix is very good, or shall I say, very explosive.
Let's talk about another tournament. The FIFA Men's World Cup 2026 is just 335 days away as
Crazy.
we sit here. You know America so well. You talked about your love, especially this great city, New York. I want to talk about big picture, how you see the state of the game here. It's been, I don't know how, 15 years since you arrived here in the United States, made your debut for the Red Bulls in July 2010, scored against Tottenham Hotspur in a friendly, no less. You spent 4.5 years with the Red Bulls. What was football like when you arrived, and what are the major changes that you've witnessed since?
There is that talk about the love of the game here. People love the game here. And it's been like that for a very long time. We can go back to the 70s. And Pelé was here, and we can name names. Stadium was full. People were coming. When you have teams coming here during the summer, I did it pre-season, stadiums are full. Full of Americans watching the game. So I do think that people love the game here. The World Cup was here also before. And if we make that transition to loving the game, then to transferring to the game here and how it is here, what it is different. It is different. And I always say to people, if you are in the MLS, I mean, in my time it was different, and people also that played in the MLS before will tell you also, yeah, it was also different. You were lucky, or one will tell you, we didn't have that, we didn't have this, and obviously the game has to grow, and the league did grow. The league did grow. Now you see guys having their own plane. My time was commercial, own plane, their own stadium, their own training facilities. I remember when I arrived at the Red Bulls.
You're flying coach?
Yeah, we were. That's how it was. It's not a problem. But obviously, if you want to be a professional league, and in terms of recovering and coming back as quick as you can, you're not depending on being late, 3 hours late, 4 hours late. I arrived one time, we played Portland. We arrived at 4 a.m. in Portland because we were 12 hours late. Kickoff at 3 in Portland. You're coming from the East Coast. All this type of thing that people are complaining now. MLS, you play in the summer, during the summer, the whole year. And so, but things have changed. When you see how the teams are, not traveling the same way. Names always have been here. Let's all be honest. You always had names. You remember when the New York City FC arrived with all those guys, and Galaxy, and before, and now you have obviously Leo being here, and Busquets, and whatnot. We can talk about it. But success also translates with your grassroots. How are you going to develop players? How are you going to make them having that attitude or that desire of not going to play basketball? Trying to get those guys that have that natural ability that you can develop after in terms of playing football or soccer, or however you want to call it. You look at along the way from my time, I remember saying to people, be careful, you might not qualify for the World Cup one day. It will happen if you carry on slipping. And it did happen. I won't name names, I won't say to who I said it. But it happened. Because people don't sleep. People try to see how they can progress and how they can maybe develop players. And I said it so many times, if this country want to be successful and want to be powerful and dominate, they can dominate. Holland invented the style of play back in the days. How many people do you have living in Holland?
What are we missing? What do we need for that?
I don't know.
You're right. Iceland have done it. Morocco.
I said it so many times.
What do we need?
You can't get up and say, I cannot do something today. Because you won't do it. Regardless of what it is. I woke up this morning and I struggled with my brain to go to the gym.
You and me both.
If you said to yourself, you know what, I'm not going to do it, then you won't do it. If you only go to the negative side of stuff, we don't have this, or we cannot do this, we are this, or we are that. Everybody struggles, everybody has issues, everybody has to fight against something.
So that's it, it's all mentality.
It is a mentality that you need to have. And I'm like, yeah, George Weah had to leave Liberia. You think it was easy for him to get into that Milan team, or Paris Saint-Germain, or Monaco, where you only have 3 foreigners going in? No, he battled, he played. Then you knew George Weah. We are Kelia now. It doesn't matter where you're from. If you believe in what you can achieve, you can do it. But again, we go back to that will, and to go back to also an institution. What are you doing for the grassroots? What are you doing in your local areas? That's very important. I actually don't know, because I'm not within the camp to know what's happening or not. But I personally, and I said it so many times, do believe that this country can have an outstanding team. But it takes time, and you have to work at it.
I want to get back to that mentality, but the last World Cup was here in 1994. I think you were 16 years of age. I don't know what your dominant memory is from that period.
Everything, because that Bulgarian team, Sweden, that Brazilian side, Italy, that famous game, Nigeria, Italy, where I think they had total control of the game, and suddenly Baggio happened.
Baggio happened.
It's true. How hard it was. You remember? Pretty colorful. I think it was successful. How close the US were to knock out Brazil. Leonardo got sent off, if I remember well. But, Romario does a piece of magic, give it to Bebeto. Bebeto side foot it into the corner. But, they lost against Brazil. But this is what I'm saying. That was a team that was fighting, very difficult to play against. I remember well. Yes, I know Brazil were down to 10 men. Doesn't matter. They performed. But the thing is, after that didn't translate to carry on. But you look at the walk, people were there. People were watching the games. People were following. So there is a love for the game here. I said it so many times. I do believe that.
So this World Cup coming back 2026, we now have this massive audience following the Premier League, following the Champions League. This World Cup is going to take place from sea to shining sea. Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, across Texas, Atlanta, up and down the East Coast. How do you imagine World Cup 2026 can move the tectonic plates even further in terms of this next phase for the game in the United States?
Well, it depends. You're going to have to be successful in a certain way. That team came out of the group stage. We're not going to go back and lose against Brazil. I'll take it to, what South Korea did in South Korea. Yes, people will tell me it was weird how they beat Italy. It was weird how they beat, Spain, whatever. I don't particularly care, but it was successful for them. It was successful. So you're going to need to have a host, because people forget it's also in Canada and Mexico. I know we are in New York. I know we're talking about the US, but it is in 3 different countries. So I think for me, it's always important when you have a tournament somewhere that one of the team that's there carries on. Because if not, it's not the same vibe. It's not the same thing.
One of the hosts needs to go on a hero's journey.
It has to be a bit, in South Korea and Japan, we come back home quickly with France, and I couldn't really grasp how it was, because we came back quickly. But it's the desire and I mean, what you're going to transmit and how you're going to transcend people by going further. Suddenly, people might want to, straight after the day after, you go to the semifinal, you win it, or whatever it is. I'm talking in general, whatever else it can be. That's what you want to do. That's the sport you want to do. When I was young, Roland Garros is on, I'm outside playing tennis. Although in my neighborhood, what you do, you put some sand, you take, whatever, you try to pretend that you build a court or whatever, but that's what you do, because it does bring that. The Olympic Games do that to you. Look at how successful the Olympic Games were in London and what it did after to the team, to Great Britain, and how they perform, and now they're still performing now in the Olympics. So yes, you still need to have some type of dream and seeing a team that does well. Whether it's going to be, is it going to be Mexico performing? Is it going to be the US performing? Is it going to be Canada? It looks like that Mexico recently are getting their act together from the Nation League, from the Gold Cup. It is a bit different. The US a bit stuttering a bit more. Canada, you thought they were on the way to do something, and they struggled a bit recently. So you never know who's going to be the one that's going to perform. But obviously, for a US point of view, hopefully they can do that.
I'm going to talk to you about the Premier League. Arsenal fans, you in particular will not want to miss this beautiful thing. But I know you're here in partnership with Visa and Marriott Bonvoy, 2 incredible brands that are creating once-in-a-lifetime experiences for fans, including the chance to sleep inside. I can't believe this. Sounds incredible. The stadium in the suite of dreams. What do you make of that opportunity? And what does it say about how football's evolving globally.
Look, this is mad. When they told me that was going to happen, I was like, no. What do you mean you're gonna have a room there at the stadium where people can sleep? All I'm thinking straight away, they're gonna beat traffic. They're gonna already be there. That's a good one because I'm thinking obviously playing in the MLS. I was like, the tunnel, 1 hour. So can I sleep there? No, joking aside, no, it's a great experience. If you're a football lover, to be able to wake up and have that opportunity offered obviously by the Marriott Bonvoy and Visa to be in that situation, to wake up and see the whole thing happening in front of you. People walking at the stadium coming, you're looking at it, you're looking at the announcers coming, fans slowly coming in, you know what I mean? And you're part of the whole thing, looking at it, chilling in your room. It's just unheard of. Like, who thinks about that? Like, that's to be fair, that's a great idea.
Visa Marriott, they literally allow you to live football.
To slip it, just do everything.
You signed with Arsenal, August 1999.
Yeah.
Reunited with then manager Arsene Wenger. He'd known you since you were a teenager. You've talked about how surprised you were initially by just how unbelievably competitive the football was, its physicality. Mm-hmm. There's a great story of your teammate, Robert Pires, sitting on the bench about to make his debut saying, wow, this football is not for me. And Thierry, spoiler alert, this ends well. You end up to be one of the greatest Premier League players of all time on everybody's list. But Arsene Wenger admitted you needed, quote, to be taught to believe in yourself. We got this young audience. After 8 games, they should know this man had more yellow cards than goals. We all know you now as one of the most confident footballers that has ever taken the field. But how did you build that confidence? How did you learn to believe in yourself?
You obviously meet people during your career, and even if they don't give you the right advice, you learn. I shouldn't have listened to this guy, or I'm listening to this guy, but it's just a normal process that you're gonna have at one point. What I call you're gonna hit the wall. It's not so much about hitting that wall; is are you gonna be able to still, are you gonna go for it? Are you gonna go above it, around it? It depends how long is it, how strong is it, how high it is. But at the end of the day, it's you having answer every single time. So you need to understand, I was a 9 when I was young, right? I was a number 9. I needed 20 billion chances to score a goal. I was raw, fast, and that was about it. And then obviously, after that, because I was fast, people used me as a winger, because the number 9s were better 9 than me at that time. I'm 17, I'm 18. You have Sonny Anderson, you have Victor Ikpeba at the time. You have guys that are well-recognized 9. And so they put me on the wing because I was fast. Then you go to Juve, I play as a wing back. So, you play from a wing-back position to go back to play as a 9. It's going to take time. It's going to take time. It's going to take some persuading. It's like losing your memory and not remembering what you were good at.
Having to reconstruct it.
Yes, you have to. And it takes time. It did take a little while, to be fair. I think I scored a couple of goals. Wasn't playing so much. You need to remember the time. Dennis was there, obviously. Mark Overmars, Nyanko Kanu. Davor Shuker, that you don't have like some Mickey Mouse players in front of you. So yeah, it took a little while, and that derby game, I think it was in October, November, or whatever, I scored 2, and I never looked back once you get that test. But people always talk about goals, and it is what it is. 9 will, more often than not, people will talk about how many did you score, but the game is so much more. What do you give to your team? Can you play on the right? Can you play on the left? Can you drop? Can you get that ball from midfield? Can you turn? Can you run at people? Can you ping a ball with your left and your right for your wingers? Can you slide the ball through? Can you hold it? Can you play alone up front, away from home? Can you assist as a 9 and not always wait for people to feed you? How 9 can be. I always say, it bothers me when I hear people like, when I see, this is why I like Paris Saint-Germain, this is why in Barcelona also, and Arsenal, there was a certain way of playing. I hate when people say, he's a 9, he's allowed to shoot. No, he's allowed to score. He's not allowed to shoot. What do you mean? We have to score. Whether if it's him or me, we have to score. I hate when he said, he's a 9, you want your 9 to shoot from there. No, I want my 9 to make the right decision. And more often than not, obviously, Harry Kane in a tight angle might be better than any other player because it's Harry Kane. When sometimes they give you the XG, but they don't tell you who was behind the ball. What do you mean? An XG for Harry Kane in that position is not the XG of another striker in that position. Harry Kane will hit the target in that position. You think XG of who? Whom? Which striker? You know, they always generalize. I mean, which striker? A striker in that position, usually it's XG. XG of who? If it's Harry Kane, the XG is higher. Do you understand what I mean?
I'm an Everton fan. I understand exactly what you mean.
But still, we have to score. Once you understand that, and I understood that, this is why I always say to people, what did you do to make sure that your position did evolve? You need to leave something there. And suddenly, like I said to you, because I arrived in the game as a background of playing on the left, playing on the right, playing as a 9, playing as a wing back, suddenly I saw the game differently.
The fusion.
Of course, but when you play on the wing, and I said it so many times and people love, when you play on the wing, and you have to go up, not the wing now, you know, where, for example, Mo Salah is allowed to stay high and wide. Back in the days, you have to follow your fullback all the way to the corner flag. For example, Martinelli does it, Bukayo Saka does it also with Arsenal, because they have a tight back four, and the wingers, different wingers. It doesn't matter whatever thing it is, but when you're on the side and you go up and down the whole game, and your 9 is kind of stopping on the halfway line. So do the meters. When it's not a lot, it's like a centre back. Centre back don't run a lot. They run from their box to the halfway line. Guys on the side, they go box to box the whole game. And when you deliver a cross last minute, and the 9 didn't move the whole game, and he's the hero, I went up and down, defended, and I delivered a cross on your head, and you just tap it in.
I did it.
No, we did it. And by the way, the 9 is supposed to do that. And the winger is supposed to do that. But when I played as a winger, I was like, well, did they realize the amount of time you go up and down? The amount of time you go up and down to deliver a ball. And so when I was there, I was like, okay, let me try to have a mix.
The hybrid.
Let's try to, go get the ball, and all of that, because number 9 needs to stay and don't move too much from between the posts of the goal. Why? If that wasn't my game, so why do you want me to stay there? Suddenly you're going to see my weaknesses. Why do you want me to stay there? I don't want you to see my weaknesses. Like, I wasn't that type of striker. Some people are like that, let them stay there. Why do you want me to be like them? I'm not like them, like they're not like me. They're good at what they are. Let me show you what I can do. But I said it just now. Let me show you. If you don't show it, then it's a different ball game, because nobody will allow you to go, drop, get the ball, run at people, go on the left, shoot, curve it. But you need to earn that. You need to earn that right.
Listening to you, Thierry, I'm getting so many memories of watching you over and over again. How many goals do you think prime Thierry Henry, 26, 27-year-old Thierry Henry, would score in the Premier League right now?
The reality is we will never know. Is someone now going to say to me, I was faster than you? I will say to him, no, because my ego kicks in, and as it should. But technically, I don't know. Only thing I can say that, you see the game has changed, low block, high line, and all of that. When I'm sitting at home, I'm like, whoa, it would have been nice, but I'm sitting at home. So I have too much respect. I have just too much respect for that. I know I wouldn't have looked bad. That's for sure. Let's leave it there.
You can't be hypothetical about history, is what you're saying.
It is tough. People always like to compare eras. Like, for example, how are you going to compare being allowed to elbow someone in the face before and now you're out? Like, how am I going to defenders could do stuff that some defenders cannot do now? Like, you're asking Van Dijk now to play 60 yards, 40 yards away, or 40, 50 yards away from his goal. Defenders before were a bit more, how do you compare that? It's different. It's different style. It's different way. People press higher. And by the way, when people say people press higher, Ian Rush was known for that, putting pressure. When you hear people saying, oh, back in the days, what do you mean? Ian Rush was, as much as he used to score goals for fun, the pressure.
You give me PTSD talking about Ian Rush.
No, I know, but I'm just saying it's not new that people go, Paul Breitner used to go up and down. It's not new that fullback goes up. Now, what's new now is what Pep did, fullbacks inside. There's some stuff that are changing, but look, like I said, sometimes when I see people with all the podcasts, and do you prefer him or him?
Yeah.
Do you like him or him? I'm like, why are we comparing?
It's like hot air, hot
Why
talk.
are we comparing greats?
Just enjoy all of it in its own way.
I did enjoy them. Let's enjoy them, because at one point, if you now, you give me a player, and you said to me, I prefer him, and I said to you, I prefer him. What we're going to do at that particular moment now is I'm going to make you aware of what that guy never did, or what he doesn't like to do, or his weaknesses, and you will do the same thing.
I'd come up to the perfect and come up with that beautiful man. There's no weaknesses, and I don't want to hear it. I do want to talk about Arsenal past and move to Arsenal present. Arteta's team coming off 3 straight second place finishes. You were twice a Premier League champion. You're also on teams that finished second 4 times. So you understand like the difference between it's actually an incredible achievement to come second in that realm. The thin margins are so fine. What's the one thing that separates Arsenal from the trophy? Is it mindset? Is it talent? Is it tactics? Is it just luck?
If you're a competitor, and we're talking about Arsenal Football Club, I don't care what people say, this is Arsenal Football Club. And I said it, for the last 5 years, we didn't play a final when Man United played 5. Do I think that Mikel Arteta is doing a great job? Tremendous job. Do I think he should get the sack? Hell no. Am I going to think that we're going to win the league this year? Yes. But I just said, and I will say it again, I do understand when people are just saying now, hey, are we going to go over the line? I understand the question now when people are like, 5 years, second. You know, you analyze what has been done and you look forward to what's going to happen after. Do I think that we can win the league? Yeah, I do think so, but I'm not in the dressing room. You too, as a fan also, you do think so, but I'm not in the dressing room. Mikel has done tremendously well. But if we have to analyze what's been happening, we came short. That doesn't mean we're going to come short again.
So what are they missing?
Look, I gave you my time at Arsenal, and you said it yourself. My first year, we lost the UEFA Cup final. Second year, we lost the Cup final. And every time by finishing second. 2002, you win the double. 2003, you win the Cup final. 2004, you stay unbeaten. 2005, you win the Cup final. 2006, you go to the Champions League final. You're not going to win all the time. But to be in a situation to win, you need to be first and foremost in a situation to know how to win. That's what they've done recently. And hopefully they can go over the line. But I can't be sitting here with my way of thinking about Arsenal and saying, it's been good. It's got to be better. This is Arsenal Football Club. Now, if we have to analyze the last 5 years, it's normal that people are raising questions. Season is over. Now we need to move forward to the new season. Is the right man to drive the team? No doubt about that. Hopefully we're going to buy the right players. No doubt about that.
It's one piece they need. I mean, that's what Arsenal fans want to hear.
Michael Jordan couldn't pass the Pistons. Then he did. Chelsea in my time couldn't beat us. And then Bridge scored and suddenly we can't beat them anymore. You know, when they beat us in the quarterfinal of the Champions League, it was the first time they beat us in 9 years or something like that. And then we couldn't beat them anymore. Sometimes it is kind of weird how it is. You struggle for a long time and you need to stay at it. You need to understand why you're struggling and not go with, no. You need to find a way to win and not think about so much, if we. No. A lot of teams can come with a lot of ifs. Let's play. Let's perform, understand why you don't go over the line, and let's try to go over the line this year. And I still do believe that this team can win the league.
Last question for you, Thierry. You once said, quote, I'm obsessed by the idea of making my mark on history. From my side of the table, you've done that. You got the records, the awards, you got the statue outside the Emirates to prove all of that. Do you feel like you've made that mark? And what do you want people to say? What do you want people to tell their kids about when they saw Thierry Henry play football?
You know, it's kind of weird at the very beginning, and that quote was early doors, right? I grew up with, if you don't win, you're nobody. That was raw like that. You got to win to be remembered. And then you realize is how you transcend people, and what you transmit is how you play. There's some people that never won stuff, but because of the way they played, they respected, or what they gave to their fans, or because they play with that passion. And obviously, if you have that and you add trophies, then it's great. But at one point, I really did underestimate what you can give to fans in the way you play the game. and how you do it, how you go about it, how you step on that field, how it matters. Yes, sometimes I did some stuff when I lost game where I was so moody, but somehow fans go like, yeah, that's how I would have been. I want that I'm upset, he's upset. You know, maybe he went overboard with being upset or whatever, but that connection, like, I didn't at the time, because I grew up with shut up and play, you're not in pain, you're a hero. No, my God, I'm never scared. You know what? No, that's BS. We all know that's BS. So at one point you tend to forget the over part and emotion of the game. But with me, as you said, and you said it right from the start, you could see when I was happy or not happy. You know, you could see when, you know, you're like, oh, he's not at it today, or he's upset. And I think I had that connection with the Arsenal fans, but I don't have a thing that I want people to say or not to say. You know, is all I know is, like I always said, I gave my all every single time, and at times it wasn't enough, as we all know. But I always played hard.
Feelings, ultimately memories, and those transcendent moments.
You need to understand that I arrived at Arsenal and I wasn't an Arsenal fan. I became an Arsenal fan, and you tend to understand at one point that it's at times it's bigger than results. It's bigger than what you can win and what you and losing is how you go about it. It's how you go about it, the connection you can have with people, and that moment that you have in that stadium with the fans, where at times, yes, you know, you might not get along like with the family. Sometimes, you know, I love my brother, I love my dad, I love my mom, but, you know, sometimes you're like, okay, they left. Thank God for that. You know, wow, I put in one more day and it's a bit too much. But that's a normal. I had arguments with Arsenal fans on the field. So what? That's how it's supposed to be. But they knew, and I knew that they cared. That's the thing that always will unite people.
I've got to say, hearing you say that, I'm thinking about that moment when you would get on the ball and there'd be a hush and everybody would know, both fans and the opposing fans, that there was a human being who was about to bend the game to their will. I want to thank Visa for making this interview possible. We can't wait to see what the future holds for the United States of America in football and beyond. But mostly I want to thank you, Thierry, for being an inimitable, singular life force and just a remarkable symbol of everybody's footballing memories. Thank you, man.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Courage.
Coffee.
You're beautiful, man. Cheers, man. There you go, baby.